Hey, it's Music Moves Mo. So today I wanted to talk about how I ended up in Brazilian Zouk here in Brazil. So just as a background, I started off my dance experience doing breakdance tutorials on YouTube back in my parents' basement. Fast forward a bunch of years, I got into Taekwondo. I did this while I was at Cornell studying economics, and then I went into finance. I had this luxurious life, and then I basically threw that all away to open my Taekwondo school. You know, I threw that away too. I actually went to Mexico. While I was in Mexico, I felt lonely, and I found on Google Maps like a salsa class, and I did some salsa, and then I got into bachata because I thought it was cool, and I didn't have much time on my trip, so I left. And I came back, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna be really serious about learning how to do bachata. So I would take 2 or 3 private hours, private lessons a day of salsa on 1, salsa on 2, salsa cubana, and bachata. And I'd have training partners throughout the day. And I'd go to every single social every night. And after doing that for 8 months, I got pretty good. And I remember thinking like, man, I really regret not recording anything. And then one day, my bachata sensual teacher, by the end of the 8 months, I was really only focused on bachata sensual. My bachata sensual teacher introduced me to Zouk, and I was like, whoa, my God, what is this? It was amazing. Then I found a Zouk specific teacher, took 6 hours of privates, and I was like, this is it. This is everything that I want and need right now. So I bought one-way tickets to Brazil and basically didn't know anything. My Zouk instructor, her name was Bren. She told me if you prefer kind of more like urban Zouk vibes, then Sao Paulo is the way to go. Gave me a few different names of teachers. Most of them weren't even there. So I basically showed up to Sao Paulo like with nothing. I showed up on a Tuesday night. It was League of Shadows, and I basically just airdropped in with 6 hours of privates and pretty much no skills. From there, like, it was a hard journey, and I was just like, okay, I started taking privates, and I would take a private every single day because I was so bad at Zouk. And Brazil is basically like the big leagues. Like, the dances within the culture. The people have carnival. People know all the songs, all the lyrics of all the songs. They dance they grow up dancing forró, like casually with their parents. They dance samba. You know, some of them go and dance other dances like sertanejo and bolero. So the dance and the music culture is very much so part of Brazil. And Zouk is already an extremely technical and difficult dance, and Brazilians are amazing at it. I knew this before I came, but I did not know how much of a difference there'd be between bachata and how that connection feels, which is like a lot of movements, a lot of play, it's a lot of like expressed sexuality, sensuality, like, oh, look at me, like, look at this body wave or this footwork in the finish. Whereas Zouk is very present in the moment. You feel everything, how the foot hits the ground, the weight transfers to the body, the wave, the feeling of frame, everything is very intimate. And I had no idea that a lot of the experience I had in bachata, the frame, I thought would help me with Zouk. Actually, Zouk has its own body that takes a lot of time that you need to learn. I took a bunch of Zouk privates, tried a lot of different instructors. Some instructors I found via word of mouth. Some I found were good at certain times. Some were better for learning movements. It took me a while to find the right instructors. I think I've had privates with at least 30 different pairs or different instructors. So of the 30 instructors, I found my favorite ones, the ones that happen to speak English, because if you're like me and you're from around the world, you come to Brazil without already knowing how to speak Brazilian Portuguese, which is its own language. And I studied some Spanish classes, and that was many years ago, so that just does not translate. So fast forwarding now to Zouk Refúgio, the real honest story is I was working my tech job at the same time that I was doing hours of training every day. You know, after 20 months of training almost 6 hours a day, whether it be from privates or going to socials, because you can go to a social every single day of the week here in Sao Paulo, and they are with the best dancers in the world, in my opinion, and in many people's opinion. That's why everyone comes to Brazil, Sao Paulo, to learn Zouk. Basically, I was already renting this house, and I wasn't able to go to Central Cultural because I was getting ready for this promotion. And I had my friend, my dance partner, Gab at the time, who was looking to teach, but there wasn't a lot of schools that would take her. Went to 17 different schools, and not a single one like had the right time or viewed her as competition. And I felt like there just wasn't a nice place for Zoukers to come and learn Zouk in a serious way, where our focus was not all the different dances that exist but just Zouk, because Zouk itself is its own unique dance. It's not salsa, it's not bachata. It requires a lot of technique, and there's a lot of presence involved. And I decided, okay, let's get rid of the couch, let's get rid of the TV, let's make even more dance room space. Let's install some mirrors. I like plants. Let's get some plants. Let's make it nice. Let's make it feel really nice and cozy, because to me, that's what Zouk is. It's a very cozy dance. It's an intimate dance. It's a dance that you have to build the dance, and it gets better over time. You dance with the same people, you build more trust, you build more connection. The dance evolves. You can have a dance that feels like one way in the first 3 minutes, and then 10 songs later, 30 minutes later, you're completely somewhere else. And it's really fun to explore. And the entire journey of learning Zouk is if you like to learn, it's a constant process. It's a constant improvement. It's a constant exercise in body consciousness and empathy and listening and understanding how another person's body feels. And so that's why, I had also developed these relationships too, like with I speak a little bit of Brazilian Portuguese now. It's been 20 months. There are friends that I have here who also had the same problem of finding a space that they can really grow their community. And if you didn't know how at the best of schools pay like 60 reais for a partner to teach 1 hour, like a group of professors. A private for one professor might cost like 150 on average to 200 reais. So like a partnered group would be anywhere between 300 and 400 if they're like really good and have high status. But like group classes were only paying like 60 reais at most. Some of them pay as little as 20 reais, right? Which is like $4 between two. It's like $2 an hour. There's no incentive for anyone to really teach a group class here. So what ends up happening is like all the professors want to just teach gringos, and no Brazilians. Like the minimum wage here in Brazil is 1,500 reais, and most people make the minimum wage. So most people can't afford to really pay for lessons. And I don't know, honestly, why I'm making this point, because we're here in Vila Madalena, and these classes are a bit more expensive than the average class. But the reason why we do that is because we're in a very expensive and safe neighborhood, and we only have space for maybe 5 couples to learn at the same time. So it's an interesting conundrum, because on the one hand, I want to provide a space where professors can earn a good wage, and to provide more incentive for professors, financial incentive, and a financial lifestyle where they can have a decent living and teach group classes. So what we offer is we don't charge a room rental fee, a space rental fee for the professors, and we treat them as partners. We help them bring students in, and we give them 50% of the revenue. And the idea is that we want to grow the Zouk community. Right now we're starting in a small space. We don't know what the future holds, but the vision is to have more Zouk Refugios, larger spaces, and better programs. The second thing we offer is, I think that Zouk is an incredibly mentor-based program. Like, you really have to spend a lot of time not just taking privates, not just training, but also talking about Zouk, talking about the feelings, talking about like, hey, how do I connect? How do I make someone feel safe? So there's a lot of life lessons that you learn from Zouk that you just don't get from like 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7 salsa, or like getting a better frame in your bachata step. Like, Zouk is a lifestyle. Zouk is a complete hobby. It's a complete activity that you can go as deep as you want. Like, I think martial arts, taekwondo, karate, kung fu have this whole philosophy behind it, and Zouk is the same. There's a certain philosophy behind Zouk that I don't think everyone that Zouks knows what I'm talking about. But if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's because I don't think you yet understand the difference between what Zouk is and how it's completely, yes, it is a partner dance, but it is completely different than the other partner in ballroom dances. And if you're a ballroom dancer and an experienced ballroom dancer and you're also experienced at Zouk, please feel free to challenge me. I'm just speaking what I honestly think. So another thing that we have here at Zouk Refúgio is you can live here and you can stay, and we have like recommended training programs. And I definitely think you should come, because I've done the hard work of finding the professors that you should learn from, that are good people, good members of the community, that are actually kind and wouldn't take advantage, because sadly, unfortunately, there are people that exist within every community that might not be good apples, right? So everyone here is a good apple. They genuinely are passionate and love Zouk and want to teach you. And I've approached every single day here in São Paulo, Brazil, with the same intensity that I've approached pretty much anything. I'm obsessive, right? And I absolutely love the learning journey with Zouk. And I wanted to share that with you. And the whole point of this channel is me talking really honestly and as fairly as I can about my experience here as a gringo in Sao Paulo, in Brazil, or around the world, learning and living Zouk. I've thrown my entire life in this. I've thrown my life of very lucrative earnings so that I can pursue something more meaningful and provide. I think what Zouk needs is like a little bit of professionalism, a little bit of focus, like communication, say like, hey, this exists, right? Because I think what Zouk can do for you, what it can do for anyone, is just teach you about connection, about listening. And I think right now this world is moving farther and farther away from meaningful connection, of really interacting with someone. And I feel that Zouk is, at least for me, a way for me to learn. There are many channels to learn this, like pottery perhaps, I don't know. But I will say that Zouk puts you in a container, in a situation where you're really, looking someone in the eye, hugging someone. They're there, and there are roles, like I'm leading, I'm following. And you can't force stuff. You can, but those dancers aren't the ones that you want to dance with. And it's a land of consent, and you have the choice. And I think that Zouk can teach you a lot about human interaction, because it's taught me a lot about how to connect and how to feel comfortable within myself, and how to communicate, and how to ask, and how to lead, and how to follow. So please follow my journey. Please follow along, subscribe, and I can't wait to see what we can do together. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Bye.